Hello everyone and welcome back to a new F1 23 track guide. Today we're going to be taking on Imola and I'm going to be giving you all my little tips, secrets and techniques on how I extract the maximum amount of lap time around this iconic circuit in Formula 1. As has become traditional with these types of videos, the first lap will be done slowly, analysing, breaking down, detailing every small braking point, turning point, apex point, and everything in between to help you learning, and then the second lap will be at full speed, explaining it in a live demonstration. With that being said, turn 1, you'll be hitting the brakes at the 100-meter board. And something what's critical with turn 1 is to use as much of the outside curbing as possible right up to the red part of the curbstone, as that will help you open up turn 1 as much as possible. Speaking of turn 1, you want to get onto this red, white and green part of the curbing without actually going onto the yellow sausage curbing, as that will unsettle the car, and on simulation damage will give you also damage to the floor of the car, will be a huge disadvantage of course, but speaking primarily about lap time, you want to be able to get on to the green, white and red part of the curbing with never ever touching the yellow sausage curb on the inside, as will just cost you so much time. In between turn 1 and turn 2, you want to do your most effort possible to set up the apex of turn 2 opened as much as possible. The reason for this is the exit of turn 2 is really critical, in fact, because it has a moderately long straight between the exit zone and the next braking point of turn 4 and turn 5. So you want to sort of be approaching at what is looking like a very straight line angle relative to how the curb is twisting around the apex. Once again, do not hit the yellow curbs on the inside, only stick to the red, white and green as part of the curbing. You want to keep your wheel as straight as possible while going through turn 2 and naturally bring the car to the outside and hit the exit curbing as well if you do need that extra bit of track width. Turn 3 is easily flat out. In a qualifying trim, you don't even need to take the inside curbing, so I advise avoiding it as it can cause a little bit of rear wheel spin and cost you lap time and stability and tyre wear as well. On the exit, you can take the exit curb if you do need the track width as well, but again, it's not really 100% necessary. Coming down into turn 4, so high speed, and iconic in my opinion, this chicane now. And you'll be approaching using up all the outside curbing possible and then braking and turning in at the 50-meter board. What is really critical about this apex is to actually hit the inside curbing, as always, avoid the yellow curb on the inside as it will unsettle the car too much, but you want to be pointing your car automatically at this point towards the next apex. The reason for that will give you the most ability to set up the car in the most predictable and quick, elegant way as possible. If you're worrying too much about putting the car in a different place, the car can become quite unsettled and can cost you lap time as well. So you can see, keeping the car in the middle of the track between the two apexes. As a common theme around here, get to the inside curb but never hit the yellow curb on the inside, as will cost you a ridiculous amount of lap time. But what you are going to do is use up all of the exit curb on here as possible, right up to the white line, and avoid any track invalidation. As soon as you are back to full power on the exit of the chicane, bring the car hard back over to the right hand side and you'll be met with the end of the first sector split. You'll be braking for the hairpin at the 50-meter board, and it's really difficult on this hairpin to extract the most lap time here, to be honest, because the tyres are now quite hot, they're quite slidey, the surface temperature is spiking after these first few chicanes, especially the high-speed chicane that we just went through, so the tyres haven't really had much rest apart from the pit straight. What is critical here, though, is to be really smooth and precise with your inputs on the hairpin, looking for a moderate to late apex so you can get on the power as hard as possible, rising up over the hill. And once again, using all the exit track as much as possible. More track width is key here on the exits of Imola. You'll be rising up over the hill and you'll be looking to sort of keep the car to the inside of the track and minimize distance as you rise over the crest of the hill. What is really critical in this turn is to brake just after the 50-meter board. There's not really a defined braking and turning in point here, so you sort of just brake after the 50-meter board when your confidence is feeling right. Or alternatively, you can use just before a shadow, but of course a shadow won't always be here in every single track condition, so it's more reliable not to trust it and to rely on your own instincts. Again, do not ever hit that yellow curb on the inside, but try to get to the red, white and green part of the curbing. It's not too important here, it is faster of course if you can get to the curbing, but what is critical here is to get amazing exit, as it will make up so much time as you fall down the hill to Aqua Minerale. And once again, using up all the track width possible on the exit. Bring the car back over to the inside of the track here and keeping the car as straight lined. What you do want to do is make sure your car is in a straight line here and you're positioning yourself and setting yourself up mentally and setting the car up as much as possible for the oh so difficult Aqua Minerale. You'll be turning in at the 50-meter board, and the first part of this apex will be just about flat out. You might need to do a small confidence lift in the qualifying, maybe in the race as well, but if you can get it nailed, it will be flat out on the entry. Once again, avoid the yellow curb on the inside and get to the red, white and green part of the curbing as well. Again, it's not too important if you miss the inside curbing here though, because by avoiding it, it will be slightly slower, but the car will be more stable. By hitting it, it will be slightly faster, but the car will be slightly more unstable. Depends on your confidence level with the car and how much you want to attack that first curbstone. What's critical is to naturally bring the car to the outside here and do the majority of your braking in a straight line, as this will be when the car is its most efficient in its braking performance, and lowering the chance of locking up a tyre here, what will be disastrous for lap time. If you look up the front, you're understeering to a track limit, and if you're locking up the rear, you could even find yourself in the gravel on the outside. Either way, it's terrible for lap time, as this is one of the most important corners on the whole track. You don't really want to be all the way on this exit curb. One will be a big risk for invalidation on lap time, but two will be much more difficult, as speaking of validation of lap time, will be much more difficult to set up this next apex. So I would advise just putting your left-hand tyres towards the red part of the curb, and that would be a good place to aim for. As you've probably heard me say a million times already so far in this lap, avoid the yellow part of the curb and go to the red, white and green part of the curbing as well. And as you come out of Aqua Minerale, full confidence is required on the exit curbing, and here you can use up all the way to the white line, and doing so is pivotal for lap time. Keep the car as straight as you need on the exit until you're confident that while you are going full power you can turn left. Even if you need to bring the car all the way to the right hand side to do so, is not a bad thing to do, as it's so critical not to get wheel spin there and save rear tyre performance when we're coming up to the most difficult section on the track. The chicane is so difficult to nail on this year's game. Has always been difficult to nail, in fact, not just on this year's game alone. What you'll be doing coming up to the chicane though is opening up the track as much as possible, braking on the red part of the curve, and at the 50-meter board you'll be going down the gears. Now you have two options for this corner. You can take it in third and you can take it in fourth. Is your own personal preference. In summary, fourth will be slightly slower in my opinion, but more stable and have more consistency attached to it. Third will be slightly faster, but the car will fight you with oversteer most of the time. So again, a lot of it is down to confidence. It's as much with the Imola circuit in general. What you'll be looking to do is cut this corner as much as possible, and for the first time this lap, get on the yellow parts of the curb. You probably never thought I'd say that going around this lap so far. But what's critical here is to set the car up as straight as possible for this second curbing. Also, the best way to avoid getting a track limit invalidation here is to remember the rule. In Formula 1, the rule is that one tyre has to be on the track at all the time. And to exploit this rule in its maximum fashion, if you can see here, the line that I've taken, the front tyre is on the track, whereas the other three tyres are off the track. If we reverse and we get it completely nailed, and now you can see my rear tyre is on the track while the front tyre is off the track. If you get this perfect and spot on with your racing line, this will allow one tyre to constantly be within the track limits and allow you to maximise the game's potential in this area. It's a bit cheeky, I know, but we're all here hunting for lap time, and doing this will inevitably find you some lap time as well. On the exit, you want to use up as much of the exit curve as possible. A lot of the time you don't really have a choice here. The car is naturally bouncing around and you're just trying to recover the car and get it back in a straight line formation for the exit. So take what you can on the exit, to be honest. It's just really important to make sure that you don't get wheel spin as you'll be coming down this next hill to the final 2 turns of the track. As you'll be coming down this blind crest of a hill, you'll see the braking zone start to emerge. You want to bring the car to the inside and then start braking around 70 meter board. Of course, there is not a physical 70 meter board, so you kind of have to imagine it in your brain. Anywhere between the 50 and 100 is a good place to sort of brake, as naturally you'll be around the 70 meter board there anyway, and you can adjust it. Something that's so critical to note though on this final corner is you're going downhill. And as you're going downhill, with the work that the rear tyres have already done so far on this lap, you will face a bit of natural oversteer and the rear rebellion trying to stick to the floor. Rebellious nature, I should say, trying to stick to the floor. So be aware of that and be ready for some oversteer might try to ruin your lap. So you have to be ready and prepared for that. I prefer not to use this outside curbing on this game so far. I just find it unsettles the car and gives me too much of a chance to lock up. The inside curbing here, again, is driver preference. A lot of drivers will like to fire their car over the inside of the curbing. Some drivers like to stay on the outside of the curbing. So far, I am in the opinion of trying to go on the inside curbing. Seems a bit faster, but of course, with more game knowledge, maybe this will change as we prepare for F1 esports, of course, and we do more and more hours on the game. The exit of the corner is really critical to use that maximum track width possible. Not only is this good for the exit of the second to last corner, it's fantastic for setting up the final corner. Speaking of the final corner, you see I'll be going in a straight line here, and generally as soon as this white part of the curb ends underneath my front right tyre, is a good place to turn in, as this will give you a good natural marker board to turn in for the final apex. Again, is driver preference. Some drivers like to take the inside curbing, some drivers like to avoid it. So far, I'm in the opinion of taking a little bit of inside curbing that does seem to be faster, and going to the white and the red part of the curb seems to be pretty good. But again, that is just my experience, and as I do more training, this might change, and it might vary for you at home as well with your own driving style. Remember, something that's really critical within driving is anyone, and including myself, can tell you so much information about driving, but it's really how about you want to drive the car. Fernando Alonso, Michael Schumacher, Ayrton Senna, Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, Sebastian Vettel, they have so many unique ways of driving a car that one size does not fit all, and it's all about how you want to maximize your driving as well, as ultimately you are the captain of the boat, you are the driver in the hot seat. And being in the hot seat, we will be going for a live lap here. Coming down to turn 1, like I say, braking 100 meter board, looking to open up turn 2 as much as possible, all the way on the exit curb, and going through turn 1, turn 2, and you see getting a good exit out of turn 3. 50 meter board, down to 5th gear, keep the car in the middle, down the gears, use as much road on the exit as possible. Hairpin time, down to 3rd gear, let the car rotate through and using up all the road on the exit. Rising up over the crest of the hill, and now down 2 gears, getting to the inside curbing, the lovely hard back on the power, Acqua Minerale, also critical, flat out for the first part, straight line the braking as much as possible, beautiful on the exit as well, rising over the crest, up to the chicane, 50 meter board, open up the car, open up the track I should say, and down the gears, goes hard back on the power, there we go, lovely exit from the chicane there, coming up to the final 2 corners in 8th gear, going down to 4th gear, 70 meter board roughly, down the gears, take a bit of the inside curbing, just a lift, a bit more inside curbing, the hard back on the power, and that is a lap here in Imola and in Italy as well. Really thank you so much for watching. I appreciate everyone's support with growing the channel. I'm seeing so much positivity, so thank you so much for that. I've been Brendon Leigh, glad you was actually. Let me know if this has been helpful for you, and I will continue doing one of these videos for every single track on the F1 23 game. Until next video, glad you was actually. Ciao, ciao, bye bye.